Hi, today we're going to talk about the Epstein files. This is one of those issues that have been in the news cycle for a historical amount of time, longer than a month, and it is still at the top of the highest interest of news in our media right now. And so I want to just bridge some questions like, why do we care about the Epstein files? Who was Jeffrey Epstein and who was Ghislaine Maxwell? I mean, was Ghislaine Maxwell just as guilty as Epstein? I mean, what about people who say, well, why didn't you care about the Epstein files when we had a Democratic president, Susan?
Yeah, let's talk about some of those issues. So, of course, we know Epstein was a business guy and he was a notorious, basically pimp, right?
Right. Pimp of
For
underage
girls
and boys.
And boys, yeah, agree
Yes.
about that. And Ghislaine Maxwell was his girlfriend, and she did it along with him.
Yeah.
She was the one who would often groom those young girls and get them to come along to Jeffrey Epstein. And she even, from a witness testimony, she even participated in the sexual acts herself.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're quite the sordid pair.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like an orgy with underage girls. That's so gross.
And it went on for years.
Yeah.
On their private island and their Lolita Express plane.
I know. Lolita means little girl.
Yeah.
You know, that is a term for a little girl. So when we look at the Democratic president, why weren't they released, like all of them?
Right.
Under Biden, for example.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, if there was anything in there about Trump, why didn't Biden release them? Why didn't you care about them then? I think the difference is, as we were talking about earlier, President Trump campaigned with a promise to release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And nobody else campaigned with the promise to release
the Epstein files. Yeah, they had other agendas.
Files.
They had other important issues that they were working on.
But he did. He said, I'm going to release the Epstein files, and his supporters care a great deal about that.
Well, I think
they want these people found out, and they want justice for these girls.
I think that no matter who's on it, Democratic, Republican, who's on it, it doesn't matter who.
Yeah.
Release them. We need to know who was on the client list.
They should be brought to justice
and
for
I think
these
that
crimes.
The reason why Republicans were so hard hitting on this is they believed that there were a lot of Democratic leadership in the files, in the client list. And so they were hard on, let's own the libs, let's own the Democrats,
Mm-hmm.
But as it surfaced, as it grew in importance, they started to back away from it, realizing that perhaps,
some of their own
people are going to get destroyed by that list being revealed. And that's just, hypothetical.
I think there's people on both sides.
I do too.
And just people that aren't even political. They just have a lot of money and
from what I understand, it was a closed case, sealed case.
Yeah.
So why would a Democratic president, closed case with convictions, settled case, people were in prison, why would they worry about that at that point when it wasn't a campaign promise?
Well, and a lot of the files were sealed, and it seems like you had to bring a court case to unseal any of the files. And so we looked it up a little bit, and we know portions of the files were unsealed from 2019 and to 2024, just little bits at a time.
Yeah.
And the most recent unsealing was because Virginia Jeffrey, one of the victims, brought it to court to unseal more of the files so she could use them in her court case. And so the court has to unseal the files. We don't think that anyone from the administration could just say, oh yes, release them all without court involvement.
Right.
So that whole process had to be worked through to get those files unsealed. But now it seems like pretty much everything is unsealed. Now it could be released, and now the only bar is this administration.
Right. So do you think that Trump is in those files as a client?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why not. They were best friends for years, and
birds of a feather flock together.
Know his proclivities, so I think he probably is.
So do you think other powerful people
are
named as clients?
I mean, President Trump himself is starting to drop names right and left. Last month he started dropping names. So I think there are. And then victims have come forward and testified about powerful people. Yeah. So we have their testimony as well.
Yeah.
They should know. They were there.
So so I think like one of the British princes, right? The English princes was
Andrew.
Is it Andrew?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which one, but he seems to be one of the clients too.
According to victim testimony.
Yeah, according to victim testimony. So do you think we should credit MAGA figures for keeping this in the news cycle as a top issue?
I do. I think we should give them some credit because, pretty much all of us, we want justice, right?
I know, right.
We don't want any powerful figures to be able to get away with abusing these young girls and boys, and to be able to subvert justice and not for the poor victims to never get justice. And we have to credit the MAGA supporters with keeping the issue alive, I think, so that it could come to this point where they may actually be released and we may actually get some justice for these victims.
Yeah.
So this is an issue I think is something that unifies us all.
I think so.
All of us ordinary people, we all
agree to protect our children. We need to protect the babies, protect the children.
Yes.
We're all very protective. All decent people are very protective of the children.
Yes. And I think all of us, we don't care who's on it. Let's just find out and let's get them some justice and maybe protect future victims. Who knows? It could still be going on. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
Right. So Susan has done a lot of work behind creating this timeline from 1992 all the way back to 1992, all the way through the present issues and what's been happening around the Epstein Trump issue, this whole media cycle. So what we're going to be doing at this point, so bear with us, we're going to be reading through this timeline starting from 1992.
And if you're interested in looking at the timeline later, you can check out our Substack because we'll have it published on there.
Yes. So starting in 1992, Trump throws a party at his Mar-a-Lago estate with NFL cheerleaders. NBC News footage shows Trump socializing with Epstein.
Yep. And then later in 1992, he hosts a party at Mar-a-Lago again for young women in a calendar girl competition.
Yeah.
And then the businessman, George Horaney, who arranged the event, because Trump invited him to arrange it, he testified that when he got there with the girls, only Trump and Epstein were there. They were the only guests.
Right. Which is very suspicious because that's not typically what happens in any kind of modeling competition.
No, exactly. It's not.
I was a model when I was between 18 and 20 years old, and that is not.
That is a private, weird
it's a private party
going on.
That's what happened.
And even the businessman, Horaney's girlfriend, Jill Harth, was there, and she accuses Trump of forcibly kissing and fondling her that night at the party. So we know what was on their minds.
Yes. So then in 1993, Epstein brings model Stacey Williams to Trump Tower to meet Mr. Trump. She states Trump groped her as they chatted.
Yep. And then there's the Epstein's plane logs. From 1993 to 1997, we know Trump flew at least 7 times on the Lolita Express.
Right, which was Epstein's plane.
Yeah.
And that's according to the plane logs.
Yep.
So then in 1997, Trump and Epstein attend a Victoria's Secret Angels party together in New York.
And in 2000, Trump has now admitted that the Epstein stole Virginia Jeffrey and other spa employees from his Mar-a-Lago estate and took them to get hired on with him. And we know that Ghislaine Maxwell recruited Virginia Jeffrey to become Epstein's traveling masseuse.
Okay.
And Virginia said that both of them groomed her to perform sexual services for wealthy men, including Prince Andrew.
Okay. All right. So then in 2002, Trump tells New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life." He continues to associate regularly with Epstein, as abundant photos from this period attest.
Yep. And then in 2002, as we just found out, recruited a bunch of people to send letters to Epstein for his birthday, and President Trump sends Epstein a note within an outline of a naked woman that he drew with his signature taking the place of the pubic hair. And in the note it says, "We have certain things in common. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And may every day be another wonderful secret."
And then September of 2004 and October of 2006, Trump makes remarks on the Howard Stern show about how voluptuous his daughter is, how she has not had breast implants, and agrees that she is a piece of ass.
About your own daughter.
I know.
That's so gross.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Then in 2004, Trump outbids Epstein on an oceanfront Palm Beach property, and the two men have a falling out.
And then April of 2005, Trump speaks about going backstage at Miss USA and Miss Universe beauty pageants when contestants are getting dressed, and jokes about having sex with contestants.
Yeah. In 2005, Trump brags on camera about assaulting a married woman and others, saying, "I don't even wait. Grab him by the pussy. You can do anything when you're a star. They let you do it."
And then July 27th, 2006, Epstein is arrested for soliciting minors.
September 27th, 2007, Epstein signs a shocking sweetheart plea deal with Alex Acosta, who was then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida.
And then on October 7th, 2007, Trump cancels Epstein's Mar-a-Lago membership. That's info from Mar-a-Lago records.
On October 30th, 2007, Epstein's non-prosecution agreement is signed, shielding all accomplices. This is widely decried by legal experts as unprecedentedly favorable to the accused and his unnamed associates.
And then skipping 10 years, 2017, Trump names Alex Acosta as Secretary of Labor.
In 2019, new details of Epstein's crimes come to light, and Epstein is arrested. He is found dead in his cell during Trump's first term in August of 2019, and a post-mortem indicates some questions.
And then August 13th, 2019, Trump said, in regards to Epstein's death, "What we're saying is we want an investigation. I want a full investigation, and that's what I absolutely am demanding." That's what our Attorney General, our great Attorney General, is doing. The Attorney General at the time was Bill Barr.
In 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell is arrested. After Trump is asked about Ghislaine Maxwell, he said, "Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her."
Then December 29th, 2021, Jeffrey Epstein found guilty on several different charges relating to enticing and sex trafficking of minors.
Even this was after he was dead, so he was convicted after he was dead.
Okay,
June 28th, 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell is sentenced to 20 years in prison for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse minors.
And then June 2024, Trump was asked if he would release the Epstein files. He responded, yeah, I would. I guess I would. I think that less so because you don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others, certainly about the way he died. It'd be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, etc., etc. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one.
February 21st, 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi says that the Epstein list was sitting on her desk for review at the directive of the president, and that names of other high-profile figures were also mentioned.
In April 2025, Trump said he was unaware of when the files would be released.
May 2025, Pam Bondi briefs President Trump on the Epstein files and tells him his name is in the files.
June 11th, 2025, Alex Acosta named to sit on the board of Newsmax, which is pushing Ghislaine Maxwell as a victim.
On July 7th, 2025, the DOJ and the FBI released their memo stating that the files would not be released. Trump starts to react to outrage from his MAGA base. "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable."
On July 12th, 2025, Trump wrote, "We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein," Trump wrote in the Post.
On July 15th, 2025, Trump wrote this: "It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring, and I don't understand why it keeps going." He added, I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
Then the next day, on July 16, 2025, he lashed out at supporters. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore.
July 2025. Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche, now appointed a deputy attorney general, meets with witness Ghislaine Maxwell, after which her sex offender status is waived, so she can be moved to a minimum security prison camp. Experts say that having a former personal attorney of the president meet with a possible witness like this is highly unusual, and it doesn't seem that FBI agents were present at the interviews either, which would be the usual practice.
Then on July 23, 2025, House Oversight Committee votes to subpoena Epstein files. Democrats attempt to force a floor vote on releasing the files. Speaker Mike Johnson sends lawmakers home a week early for summer break to avoid the vote.
On July 28, 2025, President Trump stated, "I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard, and many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island."
He said privilege.
"And I did turn him down. But a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island, and one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island."
July 29, 2025, loyalist Emile Beauvais confirmed to Third Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Epstein's island, located in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
August 7th, 2025, Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others meet at the White House for a strategy meeting regarding the Epstein case. So that's where we are now.
That's where we are now. It was August 7th. Okay. So I don't think we should lose sight of the victims in this whole case.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because they're the ones that everyone is really concerned about having justice for. These poor young women and girls and boys who were groomed and persuaded to do these things. They need justice. I mean, this affects someone for their entire life.
Yeah, there's ongoing issues for an entire lifetime.
It's driven people to suicide, even just recently. Virginia Jeffrey just recently ended up killing herself, and I'm sure it's hard hearing all of this brought up again and thinking that maybe finally the files will be released and maybe finally you can get some justice, and then having the president go back on his word and having this whole fight about whether we're going to release the files.
Right. I mean, some of the victims, like Maria and Annie Farmer, they started testifying of these crimes in the late 1990s, and victim after victim have come forward ever since.
Yeah, years worth. And I was reading an article by Mary Judry the other day, and she said, "So while the pundits ask if Ghislaine Maxwell will talk, let's ask instead, why aren't we listening to the people who already did?"
Brad Edwards, a victims' rights lawyer from Florida, has been working on the Epstein case for almost 20 years on behalf of multiple victims. He states that from his knowledge, most of the young women who were trafficked were victims of Epstein himself. He says there was a small number of other men who Epstein pimped these girls out to.
I'm kind of suspicious about small number. I'm thinking they're more than he's trying to imply there.
And that's a subjective term. Yeah. Small to some people could be 5, small to others could be 200.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That same Edwards, he also points to concerns about Epstein possibly being an intelligence asset, either of the U.S. or of a foreign country. He has questions about how Epstein gained his wealth and access to all of these powerful figures that he could just say, "Oh, I want to meet with you," and they would come to him.
And those are good points to bring up, absolutely.
Yeah. So he says, the story is not going to die off as long as there's this lack of transparency that is allowing for conspiracy theories to continue to fester and get out of hand.
Right.
So the best thing would be protect the victims' names, Release everything else so that the world can see what is real versus what is total fiction, and then everybody can move on.
And I think the world needs to know who Epstein was, what he was doing, how he made his money, who he was meeting with, and how he might have operated in other areas of business and politics. And all of that could be done through the release of documents and knowledge that is currently within the Justice Department.
Yeah.
With what they have. I mean, but now there's this about face where they were going to release everything, and now all of a sudden they're releasing nothing. I think there is a middle ground there that the public deserves.
And I do agree with that. I think we all agree on that.
Yes.
Just release the files.
Yes, release the files.
Well, that was a lot again.
Yeah. So, do you have a comment or question? Drop it in the comments below or email us.
Is there something you would like us to talk about in a future episode? Let us know.
And our next video will be about Texas versus California and the gerrymandering and district redrawing.
Yep. Check out our Facebook, our Blue Sky, and Substack accounts to keep informed and get updates and details.
And press the like button and hit subscribe to help get the word out.
Welcome to the conversation.